Hi guys, Miss Venable here bringing you a presentation on our globe. So we're going to learn latitude, longitude, size, age, shape, circumference, orbital path of revolution, and how wobbly is that axis anyway. Let's get started with latitude. So latitude rhymes with flat, right? Rhymes with flat. Latitude goes around the Earth horizontally. These are imaginary lines. The most famous one is the equator. We are actually above the equator. So if you're above the equator, then you are north. And you're designated degrees, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 degrees above the equator till you get to the North Pole. We're actually at 36 degrees north. That is our latitude. Now, the other very important line is the prime meridian. Now, it goes from pole to pole. So it goes from North Pole, wraps around. And that is called a longitudinal line, okay? An imaginary longitudinal lines. Now, we are not on the prime meridian. But this little spot right here is very famous. It's called Greenwich, England, and the prime meridian goes right through Greenwich, England. So this is the 0 degree prime meridian. So if you live to the left of the prime meridian, like us, we're over here to the left, then you're designated as being to the west. We're actually at 81 degrees west of the prime meridian. If you were to live on the other side over here, then you would have a longitude that's to the east. Alrighty, let's look at our planets in the solar system. So in our solar system, by far the heaviest thing is the sun. 99% of the mass is in the sun, and we're actually pretty light. We, along with the other terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are pretty light planets. The outer planets are gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. They're bigger. And then poor old tiny Pluto's orbiting out there all by itself. It's not even a planet anymore. How old is the Earth? We know from radiocarbon dating of our very oldest rocks that the Earth is at least 4.5 billion years, and that is accurate to within 50 million years. Okay, let's look at the shape of Earth. So if I ask you, is the Earth flat? Is it a perfect sphere, or is it just kind of roundish? I wonder what you would say. Well, let's do a little demonstration and find out. So the Earth is rotating. Here's the axis of the Earth, my chopstick, and I'm just going to rotate it fast as I can here. And what's happening is this is actually sliding down. The Earth has a bulge around its equator. The equator circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles. But if I measured the circumference pole to pole longitudinally, the circumference is going to be almost 100 miles smaller. And the proper name, scientific name for this shape is called an oblate spheroid. Oblate spheroid. So if anybody ever asks you what's the shape of Earth, you now know what to call it. Now, Earth is in orbit around the sun. That's called a revolution. The sun is the focal point. The Earth is going around it. When we're closest to the sun, we're at our perihelion of our orbit. And when we're furthest from the sun, we're at our aphelion of our orbit. And the shape of that path is almost a perfect circle. It's just a little bit squished. That shape is called an ellipse, according to Johannes Kepler. So what's going on with this axis, okay? The Earth's axis is actually tilted. If the sun is over here, our axis is tilted. And as the Earth travels around the sun, sometimes the axis is tilted the other way, okay? So that's what causes the seasons, the amount of sunlight that shines on the northern and southern hemisphere. But I want to talk about this axis right here, okay? This axis, actually, like a spinning top, this axis slowly changes in space. Right now, this axis is pointed at a star out here that we can see. It's called Polaris. Here's Polaris right here at the top of our axis. But over time, that's going to change. And it slowly makes a little circle. It's called precession. Precession is the wobble in the Earth's axis. It's very slow change. It takes 26,000 years to precess. So sometime in the distant future, our axis will not point right here at Polaris anymore. It will have rotated around, precessed around, and it's actually going to point at a star called Vega. But that's going to be about 13,000 years from now. So for now, you can remember that the North Star, they call it, is Polaris, but in about 13,000 years, the North Star is going to be Vega because our axis is precessing around and around. Thanks so much for joining me. This has been Miss Venable sharing our globe with you.